Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2018 National Council for Behavioral Health Awards of Excellence. Let's be celebrated.
All voices can have power, though some struggle to be heard. They may be weakened by life's challenges or be lost in the clatter of conflicting sound. They may lack the words to be meaningful or the breath to truly resonate until we lend our voice in support. And then we amplify. So when we speak, they will finally be heard. You have given a voice. You have provided power. You have become the difference. Be celebrated tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the President and CEO of the National Council for Behavioral Health, Linda Rosenberg.
Good evening. Good evening and welcome. Welcome to the 2018 Celebration of Excellence. This is our version of the Academy Awards of Behavioral Health. And we've rolled out the red carpet to honor you. And we honor you because you're the change makers, the innovators, and the visionary leaders, working in government, nonprofits, and sitting on volunteer boards. We honor you because you are the advocates, in some cases the agitators, and the change champions, often led by family members and people in recovery. We honor you because you are not afraid to stand up and say, "We will be heard." Unlike the actors who receive an Oscar and transport us for a few hours, you transform lives every day. And this is our chance to celebrate you, and I'm honored to be among you. But before the show begins, I'd like to take just a moment and thank our supporters, without whom this celebration would not be possible. Synovian, Envolve, Negley Associates and Merg, My Strength, Qualifax, the Scattergood Foundation, and the Missouri Department of Mental Health and Mental Health First Aid USA. And now, yes, to all of the supporters, thank you. And now, for our first set of awards, please take a look.
Training to save lives, one first aider at a time. We celebrate Mental Health First Aid.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome National Council Board Member Tim Swinford.
First aid is as critical to our mental well-being as it is to our physical well-being. Our first category of awards celebrates the individuals and organizations committed to bringing mental health first aid to their communities and beyond. You'll hear from a technology company that walks the talk by training their staff. You'll hear from an organization leading community engagement to work with law enforcement to create a culture of patience, understanding, and hope. And lastly, you'll hear from a foundation that has worked with the National Council to train 150,000 people across the country. I'd like to welcome our first honoree for special recognition for mental health first aid business leadership, NetSmart, and accepting the award on behalf of NetSmart is Tom Herzog.
What an honor You know, we find ourselves in a time of much debate, a time when unity must find a way. We believe mental health first aid not only educates, but unites. As a company who creates and provides technology solutions for behavioral health, social services, post-acute providers, we spent the last 50 years working alongside our clients to serve cause and community. Our desire is to action in both word and deed, in all aspects of what we do. None more important than people helping people. We've learned at some point in life many of us will take a first aid class, but in reality, we're more likely to come across a person experiencing a mental health crisis event than a physical first aid. Our combined goal is to create a ripple of goodness, to challenge stigma, drive awareness, and participate in the communities we serve and love so passionately. Mental health first aid is more than a program. It unites us in this pursuit. The purpose, the response, has been humbling, providing a unifying effort with our associates, clients, and communities. We're expanding this program into other organizations, an opportunity we believe to really find and bring unity. I could spend all evening sharing with you the stories that we as an employer have learned and unlearned because of mental health first aid. On behalf of my fellow teammates, our thanks to the National Council and the Mental Health First Aid team for promoting this resource, impacting lives. This award, it fuels our passion. We've just begun. The possibilities and opportunities abound. Most important, reminding us that every day, every person matters. Linda, yesterday you asked us to be heard, to write our story. You've inspired us. We are driven to pay it forward in kind. Our heartfelt appreciation, thank you.
Our next honoree for excellence in mental health first aid, community impact, is the Southern Arizona Mental Health First Aid Program. Accepting the honor is Jason Wensky.
Wow. So I brought some friends with me here, and I think it's most appropriate because we really view our program as a community collaborative. And looking around this room tonight, I am truly humbled by the amount of collaborative and community that I see here. In the end, what we are trying to do as police officers in this day and age is try and find ways to say yes. Yes to individuals struggling with mental illness and substance abuse issues. Yes to treatment. Yes to alternatives to incarcerations. And yes to care and compassion. The fact remains that we as police officers cannot say yes to these individuals without the amazing collaboration I see in this room and on the stage here with me. From Pima County programs like our Safety and Justice Challenge, our jail reduction strategies with our county attorney's office, to Simpatico Integrated Care, who is here with me tonight, who funds many of our initiatives, and Connections Health System, which runs, in my opinion, the best crisis center in the country. Woo! We know that a big part of everything we do is saying yes and reducing the stigma associated with mental illness in our community. To copy a line from my childhood hero, Fred Rogers, and my sister is here and we grew up on him, if we in public safety can simply make it clear that feelings are mentionable and manageable, we will have done a great service for mental health in this country. So thank you all for helping us say yes, and thank you to the National Council for this award.
Our next honoree has been a very special supporter for Mental Health First Aid. Here's a little more about our next honoree.
My older daughter, Stephanie, who many of you know as Lady Gaga, let's just say that she was uniquely different growing up, and her peers didn't always appreciate that. And she experienced a lot as a result of that, feelings of isolation, to the point where she developed anxiety and depression at a very young age. After taking Mental Health First Aid, I walked away feeling much more confident that I could better help someone in psychological distress or crisis. That's what led us to team up with National Council for Behavioral Health. We've equipped tens of thousands of people with the tools they need to support the mental health of their family, friends, and community.
Mental Health First Aid is a very simple training that everyone can take to understand both the illnesses as well as the treatments and what they can do to help people.
Lady Gaga has a tour. Born This Way is going to be outside. It's very important for people that are going through mental illness to have a support system.
In her recent tour alone, 150,000 people were trained in Mental Health First Aid. I think the biggest problem is when you suspect someone of having a mental health issue, you really don't know what to say.
We can reduce the stigma around mental health and make it more comfortable for others to talk about it.
And those are the very skills that are taught in Mental Health First Aid.
One day of your life, which is the length of the training, is worth the opportunity to save somebody else's life.
Take a Mental Health First Aid training course and make a difference in your neighborhood and in your community.
This year's honoree for Change Champion is Born This Way Foundation. Accepting on behalf of the foundation is Cynthia Germanata.
Wow. Thank you to National Council for that kind introduction. Thank you, Tim, for your tremendous leadership, and most of all, for your partnership and friendship over the years. It's always an honor to be recognized for your work, but I speak for the entire Born This Way Foundation team when I say that we are truly touched to receive this award from an organization as dedicated, innovative, and effective as National Council. At the heart of our mission is the wellness of young people, especially their mental wellness. And we've been so proud to call the National Council a partner as we've worked to support youth online and in their communities. Helping someone who is struggling with mental health issue is never easy. That's true if it's a stranger or your best friend, a coworker, or a family member, even if it's your own child. It's hard to know what's a normal variation in mood or behavior and what's just a phase. It's hard to know what you're supposed to do, what you should say, or how you can help. That's why resources like Mental Health First Aid are so important. I know this firsthand. I know it as a mom with children who have experienced mental health issues, such as anxiety and depression, and I didn't always know what to do. When my girls were growing up, I'd remind them sometimes that I didn't get a user manual when they were born. My husband and I loved them from the bottom of our hearts and with every fiber of our being. We were a lucky family who lived in a safe neighborhood, could afford the best schools. We spent quality time together, ate dinner together, and talked about our days. But our girls still struggled at times and we didn't always know how to support them. We did our best, but we made mistakes. I also know the importance firsthand of this training as a proud mental health first aider myself. Since participating, thank you so much. Thank you. Since participating in the program, I feel so much more prepared to help someone experiencing a mental health issue. I wish it had been available when I was growing up, and also when I was raising my girls. But I'm so thankful that it's a resource that's available to parents and to everyone else today. That's why Born This Way Foundation is so proud to be working with the National Council to make sure it reaches as many people as possible. We have some exciting plans coming up this year that we can't wait to share with you. But in the meantime, I do have just a sneak peek of our next collaboration that I think Linda would be okay with me sharing. Last year, as you saw in that wonderful video, we teamed up to train 150,000 people in mental health first aid during my daughter's Joanne World Tour. We wanted to keep that momentum going, so in May, in honor of Mental Health Awareness Month, we'll be joining forces again to encourage everyone to get trained. And to add a little incentive, this time there will be prizes. Throughout May, we'll be asking people to pledge to become mental health first aiders. At the end of the month, we'll pick one lucky winner who will receive a pair of tickets to the hit Broadway musical Dear Evan Hansen, which is amazing, one of our other amazing partners. To make sure they have the best possible evening, I'll take them to dinner along with their guest before the show, and they'll get a VIP backstage meet and greet with the cast after the show. All of you are the first people to hear about this amazing opportunity. So anyone here who is not already a mental health first aider, though I'm sure there's very few of you, follow us on social media at BTW Foundation and get ready to pledge starting Tuesday, May 1st. In the meantime, let me again thank the National Council for bringing us all together for this wonderful evening and for this truly, truly touching award. At Born This Way Foundation, we talk about building kinder, braver world where young people are supported and where mental health is understood, destigmatized, and prioritized. We know that will only be possible when we all work together, and we're so excited to work towards these goals with all of you. Thank you so much to the National Council and so much to my incredible team who is here with me tonight. Thank you.
Unique approaches, unparalleled results. We celebrate innovation.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage National Council Board Member Jeff Richardson.
Good evening, everyone. How you doing? Come on, better than that. How you doing? Awesome. Our next set of awards celebrates the pinnacle of innovation in the behavioral health industry. Innovation is what keeps us moving forward. It helps us find more effective and more efficient ways to serve our communities. You'll hear from an organization whose web-based crisis facility electronic dashboard helps providers serve more individuals in the same amount of time with the same amount of funding. You'll hear from a mental health center that collaborated with the community to bring a one-of-a-kind service to an underserved population, from mental health and addiction services to a preschool and aquaponic greenhouse. You also hear from an organization that recognizes that mothers need addiction treatment, won't leave their babies, so it offers a continuum of care for these young families. Finally, you'll hear from an organization committed to providing integrated health care with a host of innovative programs, including medication-assisted treatment. With that, I'd like to announce our first honoree for excellence in technology, Crisis Tech 360. Accepting on their behalf, David Covington.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, National Council. Real data in real time. RI International has a dozen crisis facilities across 5 states. And historically, we've managed referral flow with large dry erase whiteboards, common throughout our field. Step by step, we're seeing each of our markets convert from single mental health authorities to multiple health plans. And RI sought to dramatically improve access and throughput for our crisis programs. In order to do that, we knew we had to leave the Post-it notes, the whiteboards, and the voicemails behind. So we went to BHL. Behavioral Health Link was the National Council Technology Award winner on this very stage in 2014 for its air traffic control crisis hub, the Georgia Crisis and Access Line. And 2 years ago, we at RI approached them with the joint venture Crisis Tech 360. Today, we share real-time crisis data in a transparent way that is also available to our funders with direct and secure access to the very facilities that they support. At our flagship program just west of Phoenix, our volume has increased 20% over the last year. RI is much more efficient and more accessible with Crisis Tech 360. I'm able to monitor from my desk real-time performance in up-to-the-minute dashboards. Special thank you to Wendy Farmer, Greg Graham, and the team at BHL for their high-tech, value-based solution that we believe will make a difference in the field. Thank you.
We felt this next honoree exemplified all of what we're celebrating here tonight. So we want to share their story of perseverance and community engagement. Take a look.
The Dahlia campus for health and well-being is unique because it went beyond what we envisioned.
Being able to provide a variety of services that gets at helping support an individual, a family, a community's well-being is part of what we take pride in.
The mental health board had the foresight to come to the community to see what the community felt they needed.
As we engaged with the community, it was very clear that they had a good understanding of what they really needed to thrive in this neighborhood.
We just gave input about what we felt were the needs. One of the main things was having no fresh foods and vegetables.
We've heard the community need around having fresh fruits and vegetables and as well as protein. And so we have, our in-soil farms and we have our aquaponics. We've opened up a food pantry.
The leadership at MHCD had a vision that included sort of services that the community needed. One of them was a high-quality inclusive preschool that was within walking distance.
Here at the Dahlia campus, the teachers are really good at focusing on Zayden's needs. He communicates mostly through sign language. He does have sensory. It was a challenge for me trying to find a school that would accommodate him and understand him at the same time. So this was just a blessing.
We're able to, from sort of the ground up, build that safety, security, and sort of well-being of kiddos on a daily basis.
One of the unique things about Dahlia campus is when an individual walks into the door, they could be walking in for a number of reasons.
With the deaf community and having a signing admin at the front desk puts them at ease, because they'll say, "Hi, do you sign?" And they'll say, "Yeah, I sign." I'm like, "Okay, what are you here for?" And then they get really excited because they don't have to write something down and explain why they're here, because I sign.
Bringing everything together to have a holistic approach to treating a person has just been a phenomenal experience.
One of the things that we've learned is that if you listen to a community, it will create something better than you possibly imagined.
I just feel so excited that this center has become the Mecca for Park Hill. It's fulfilling an emptiness that this community had.
This year's honoree for excellence in behavioral health care management is the Mental Health Center of Denver. Accepting this honor for the center is President and CEO, the amazing Carl Clark.
It is an Oscar. God, it's heavy. We're honored to accept this award for excellence in behavioral health care management. We know that every community has strengths, and during our 2-year community-informed planning process at the Dahlia Campus for Health and Well-Being, we listened deeply and built a campus that would enhance the strengths of the community. As an organization, our work is magnified when we work collectively. So I'd like to thank our staff and the multiple community partners that are operating alongside of us at the Mental Health Center of Denver. I never expected, as the CEO of a community mental health center, that we would be in the business of dental care, aquaponics, in-ground food production. When our ideas about what would be helpful met the heartfelt vision of the community, it created something beyond imagination. One of the great outcomes at the Dahlia campus has been its role in a conversation starter. This work is expanding our horizons in behavioral health and pushing us to think differently about how we move interventions upstream and how to address the social determinants of health and how to create healthier, stronger, and more community-informed systems of care. I'd like to thank the National Council, and I'd like to thank our board of directors and our staff for making this happen. Thank you.
Our next honoree for excellence in addictions treatment is the Helen Ross McNabb Center. Accepting on behalf... Do you know those guys? Accepting on behalf of the center is Mona Blanton-Kitts.
Thank you to the National Council for recognizing our work with moms and babies with neonatal abstinence syndrome. It is truly an honor to accept this award on behalf of the Helen Ross McNabb Center. You know, Tennessee is really no different than many of our other states in our country in regard to the opioid epidemic. To address this crisis, we designed a program with a large continuum of services, beginning with detoxing for pregnant women, intensive outpatient programming, home visitation, residential, and aftercare programming. What we know from truly listening to our moms is that the largest barrier to treatment was them having to leave their children. We eliminated this barrier. Recently, I asked the director of our program, what makes Great Starts so special? She replied with, just this morning, I watched 2 moms kiss their babies on their foreheads, and I know if they weren't here, those kisses would be given by someone else. It is a privilege to be part of an agency that works to make all voices heard, especially the youngest and most vulnerable of our society. I also want to take just a minute to recognize the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse, our commissioner and our deputy commissioner, along with the Tennessee Association of Mental Health Organizations. They are all here tonight, and through their leadership and their vision has allowed Tennessee to have such special programs as these, and we really appreciate that. Again, thank you to the National Council and for recognizing this very, very special program and the Helen Ross McNabb Center.
Our next honoree for excellence in whole person care is the Memorial Healthcare System. Accepting the honor is Joyce Myatt. Joyce? Joyce is coming up here. Let's give her some more woohoos. Come on. All right. It's a long walk, isn't it?
Good evening. On behalf of Memorial Healthcare System in Hollywood, Florida, I would like to thank the National Council for Behavioral Health for this award. It is particularly apropos given that the mission of Memorial Healthcare System is to heal the body, mind, and spirit of those we touch. The Outpatient Behavioral Health Center strives to provide care that is accessible, person-centered, innovative, and evidence-based. Continually changing to meet community needs, the Outpatient Behavioral Health Center is fully integrated with mental health, substance use, and primary care services with easy walk-in access. In keeping with the theme of being heard, let me tell you the message I wish to be heard. Stigma and shame should not be an impediment to care. Integrated health care must continue to evolve. Mental and physical health are intertwined and cannot be separated. At Memorial, we treat the whole person respectfully and without judgment. As an example of this commitment, our Mothers in Recovery program has treated 103 pregnant women. 91% of the babies have been born drug-free. Our primary behavioral health care integration project has resulted in 100% of 23 health indicators and behavioral health indicators improved, and ED visits have significantly declined. Finally, 146 patients have been served since June 2017 through our medication-assisted treatment program. Without the support of our partners, the Substance Abuse Mental Health Services Administration, the Florida Department of Children and Families, Broward Behavioral Health Coalition, and the Broward County Board of Commissioners, Memorial Healthcare System would not be able to offer these services. Thank you.
Our last award for this category is the Scattergood Award. The Scattergood Award recognizes creativity, leadership, sustainability, replication, and outcomes in its finalists. I'd like to invite the president of the Scattergood Foundation to announce this year's winner. Please welcome Joe Pyle.
Thank you, Jeff. Good evening, everyone. 2018 has been a year of disruption, the kind of disruption that asks us to do more with less and that requires us to take risks and serve our communities with more courage than ever before. So I'm here tonight to present the 6th Annual Scattergood Innovation Award, which honors those leaders in our field who work tirelessly to improve the lives of so many with behavioral health challenges in our community. This year, we have 5 finalists who embody innovation throughout their catalytic programs. They challenge how behavioral health is viewed, organized, and practiced. They are Crystal Wyatt, Real Resilience; Kristen Saffron, Communities of Healing; Jaime Mendoza Williams, Mind Right; Linda Stalter's Psychosis, Changing Perceptions Through Art and Science; Megan Corrado, Stories, Healing Inner City Youth. Let's have a round of applause for everyone. I'd like to thank National Council and Linda for partnering up with us again this year to help elevate the award beyond a $25,000 prize. We are pleased to feature our finalist here at National Council yesterday in a panel discussion on innovation. I would also like to thank our judges who have had the incredibly difficult task of narrowing our talented pool of applicants to 5 finalists. Though there will only be one winner tonight, Scattergood National Council are committed to sharing the innovative work of all of our applicants. In June, we will launch the new Scattergood Foundation website, where you will find a database of hundreds of creative nominees over the past 6 years. It is our hope that you will use this database to inspire new approaches in your communities. And last but not least, I would like to thank the more than 2,100 individuals who made their voices heard by voting for their favorite finalist to win the $25,000 prize here tonight. It is your input and support that guarantees that we make a transformative investment. So without any further ado, we are pleased to announce that the 2018 Scattergood Innovation Award winner is Communities of Healing. Kristen, do you want to come up? And again, I'd like to thank everybody who participated this year. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back Linda Rosenberg.
Good evening once again. Dinner wasn't bad, right? Yeah, I know. The food has been good. So I'm just up here very briefly. You are all people we love and adore, and if I could, I would introduce each one of you and talk about your achievements. But there are two people here tonight that I do want you all to acknowledge, and one of them is a very beautiful woman, both inside and out, a mental health first aid instructor, the head of, with her husband, of a foundation, Mishi Marshall. She and her husband, Brandon, did a great PSA for mental health first aid, have paid for instructors to be trained, and we are very grateful. Please stand, Mishi. They were also featured in People magazine, which is one of my guilty pleasures, and talked about mental health first aid, so we thank them. The other person I want to acknowledge really needs no introduction. He is a hero to our community and a wonderful man and father and colleague, and I just want to ask him to say a few words. Please, Patrick Kennedy.
So first, thank you all for all that you all do. Congratulations to all the awardees. But most of all, let me just say there was just one person I definitely wanted to be down here for. Like all of you, this town is not the same, thanks to Linda Rosenberg. You know, for those of us who've been fighting for parity and other mental health reform pieces of legislation over the years, you know, it was often very difficult because the organized advocacy was not where it was and should have been, nor is it, frankly, where it needs to be. But we were so fortunate when Linda came along because she galvanized and transformed and used her masterful skill set to help bring together a very fractionalized community. Of course, we're still fractionalized, but not nearly as much thanks to Linda Rosenberg. And as someone who's been in this town for a few years and who's watched this movement ebb and flow, I can honestly tell you that since Linda took over National Council and has worked with all of you to build it to the organization that it is today, and it is a powerhouse. Give yourselves a round of applause. Of course, they say, well, whoever has to follow in Linda's footsteps, it's not an easy task, but it doesn't matter because she has set them up for success, because the trajectory is going in the right direction and we all will benefit from that for years and years to come. So tonight, I just want to join all of you. I know that next year will be here before we know it, and she's got a lot of work to do before she hits the exits, and then even more work to do in her new life, whatever it may be afterwards. And I was just reassuring her that there is life after Washington, D.C. and public policy making and being a big shot. But I had heard that there was an opening for president. I heard there was and that's why I ran down here to Washington, because they said there's going to be an announcement, someone's retiring, there's an opening for president. And as a former politician, I said, I'm the next to Sella down to Washington. But thank you all for what you've done to support Linda and continue the effort, each of you, everywhere you are across the country. And I'm honored to work side by side, all of you. We're all in this together, and we're all a team in this fight. Thank you.
Persistent voices, policy impact. We celebrate advocacy.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome National Council Board Member Vic DeGravio.
Good evening. A part of all of our jobs is to advocate. We advocate for what we believe and for those we serve. This is essential in changing hearts and minds, changing behaviors, and ultimately changing policy. The next set of awards celebrates the amazing work that individuals and organizations are doing to advocate for those who experience mental illnesses and addictions. You'll hear from an association that believes their members drive policy and prides itself on not just taking care of members, but taking care of the state of Florida. You'll hear from an individual who is committed to getting people and organizations to collaborate and advocate for increased funding and expanded services for addiction treatment. Finally, you'll hear from two elected officials who embody what it means to be a good legislator, someone who listens, who reaches across the aisle, and who works to find solutions to complex problems. Our first award for excellence in advocacy by an organization goes to the Florida Alcohol and Drug Abuse Association. Accepting the award is Mark Fontaine.
Good evening. For the past 40 years, the Florida Alcohol and Drug Abuse Association has been active in the advocacy arena, promoting quality patient care, adequate funding, just policy, and stigma elimination. The board of directors and membership believe the role of the association is not only to support providers, but also, and more importantly, to fight for legislation and policy that ensures Floridians have access to quality mental health and substance use disorder services, and recognition that a mental illness or substance use disorder is a treatable medical condition deserving appropriate care. For the past several years, the association has been fighting to raise awareness and promote action to address the 16+ Floridians a day losing their lives to opioids. In addition, we have been working hard to promote ethical marketing and service delivery practices related to substance use disorder treatment and recovery housing. This award reflects those efforts. The Board of Directors and members of FADA and our sister association, the Florida Behavioral Health Association, are thanked and applauded for their insightful leadership and willingness to take action on tough policy issues. Rebecca Roberts, the Communication Director, is thanked for kickstarting the opioid initiative, and Jill Grand, the Advocacy Director, can claim victory for this award as testimony to her talent, leadership, and tenacity. And of course, a special thanks to the National Council for recognizing our efforts. Thank you all very much.
Our next award for excellence in advocacy goes to an individual who's an incredibly strong woman and a great friend, Connie Peters.
Hi, everyone. I'm incredibly honored to receive this award and want to thank Linda Rosenberg, members of the National Council Board of Directors and staff for the recognition. I also want to thank Victor Gravio, my boss, President and CEO of the Association for Behavioral Health Care, for his ongoing support and leadership, as well as all the staff that I work with at ABH. They are all deserving of outstanding professionals worthy of recognition. I also want to thank my daughter, Anna Farrington, who's joining me in DC tonight for this event. As William Faulkner said, never be afraid to raise your voice for honesty and truth and compassion against injustice and lying and greed. If people all over the world would do this, it would change the earth. Although this award is in recognition of my individual advocacy, many years of experience have taught me that very little can be accomplished on one's own, especially when working at the state and federal levels of government. It truly takes many people with a common vision and speaking with one voice for change to happen. Together, as members of the National Council, we work to achieve a common vision and to end the discrimination and prejudice that persist in our society about individuals who suffer with mental health and substance use disorders. Together, as members of the National Council, we must continue to speak with one voice to accomplish this mission. Thank you again for this incredible honor.
The award for excellence in advocacy by an elected official actually goes to two individuals this year, Representative Kathy Wolf Moore and Senator Jim Denning from the state of Kansas.
Good evening, and thanks for having me tonight. It's an honor to receive this award. I should thank Kyle Kessler of the Community Health Center of Kansas, Tim DeWeese of the Johnson County Mental Health Center, and of course Randy Kallstrom with Rainbow Services Incorporated. These three individuals know how to advocate. They never demand, they just educate and inform us on their needs and wants. We're being recognized tonight for our efforts to create a crisis stabilization center delivery model in Kansas. Kathy educated me on the need and concept, and my brother, Sheriff Frank Denning, helped me understand that public safety officers needed a safe port in a storm for patients to get care, not jail. I think because of Rainbow, we have transformed the mental health delivery landscape in Kansas. Most legislators are now looking at a regionalized approach in addition to the long-term inpatient model. Not sure it's a 0-to-1 event, but certainly a game changer for the better. Sharing this recognition with my visionary friend, Kathy Wolf-Moore, and the $10,000 contribution to Rainbow makes this a perfect evening. Kathy, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you so very much to the National Council. I just could never imagined a moment like this. It is such a special honor to be recognized in an area that I'm so passionate about, and to share this award with Senator Jim Denning, for whom I have such great admiration. Now, Jim is a Republican, and I'm a Democrat, so who says Democrats and Republicans can't work together for the common good? I would also like to add my most sincere thanks to Randy Kallstrom, Kyle Kessler, and Tim DeWeese for their leadership and their dedication in the mental health field. I am proud of this collaborative effort in Kansas that makes additional mental health services available through crisis stabilization centers. This model is the first of its kind in our state and has proven to be very successful. Since April of 2014, they have admitted over 7,000 patients, diverting many from our already overcrowded state hospitals, from local emergency rooms and jails, and provided treatment for many who would not have otherwise accessed any treatment at all. The crisis intervention model has been replicated across the state, and I hope will continue to create a stronger mental health system in Kansas, so many more people will be able to access the care and the need they so deserve. And thank you so very much.
Individual efforts, helping thousands. We celebrate community.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage National Council Board member Vic Armstrong.
Good evening. One definition of community is a feeling of fellowship with others as a result of sharing common attitudes, interests, and goals. We may have different voices and maybe even different opinions, but we all share a common goal of helping one another. This next set of awards celebrates two extraordinary individuals who are inspiring their communities to go above and beyond. You'll hear from an individual who's a living example that mental illness doesn't define who you are. Someone who has overcome her own obstacles and flourished, working with people to help themselves and help others. You'll also hear from a courageous individual who can only be described as a Renaissance doctor, someone who has been willing to admit the old ways of treatment just aren't working and is committed to finding new ways to treat people with chronic pain. Our award for Peer Specialist of the Year goes to Emily Grossman.
Wow, that's all I can say. You know, I'd like to start by expressing my deep gratitude to the National Council for presenting me with this amazing award. I'd also like to thank the Jewish Board for being a staunch supporter of my work. I'm accepting this award today in honor of my mother and father, Nina and Rich Grossman, who are here today from Arizona. And on behalf of peers everywhere who bravely share their story to end the stigma around mental illness and to provide hope to those who still struggle, you all inspire me so much. You know, when I found out I was receiving this award, I flashed back to 2001, to an icy cold room in a psychiatric hospital in New Jersey. My treatment team was planning to institutionalize me in the state hospital with no end date in mind. Luckily, my time in the system taught me exactly what to say to get out of this impending sentence. I then heard the words of my mother in my head. Emily, one day you're going to help so many people because of this experience. I finally recovered, and today I pinch myself because I get to do the work that is my deepest passion. To those who struggle with mental illness, life can turn around and become absolutely magical. So please never give up on your dreams. Thank you.
I do have to say, incidentally, I caught a glimpse of myself on the screen. I look good. This next individual isn't your ordinary average doctor. He's confronted providers' roles in the opioid epidemic and made patients the architects of their own integrated care. And, by the way, he plays in a rock band. Take a look.
Hey, everybody.
So the first thing I think about when I think of Dr. Moore is that he is the most approachable, incredible doctor that I've actually ever met.
He's genuine, compassionate. He truly has an open door policy. He encourages and inspires not only members, but staff as well.
He has a way of teaching and enhancing care in a way that I've never seen before.
Dr. Moore, he'll often joke that sometimes he's mistaken for one of the members. Plays in a band, so he's really pretty cool.
I think that for our member population, that is a way to establish rapport with them. I want to hear who their favorite bands are. I want to hear who they go to for their tattoos or their piercings. They have a lot of people in suits that talk to them about how their healthcare should be. I want to hear from them how their healthcare should be. Integrated care, to me, is a system of taking care of our members like we would want to be taking care of ourselves. It is confusing for me as a physician to navigate the healthcare system that we have right now, let alone if I was someone that was dealing with, schizophrenia or bipolar disorder like many of our members are. 4 years ago, in my other practice, if I had a patient that had severe depression, needed to get them in to see a psychiatrist, that I would have to wait 4 or 6 months to get them in when they needed to be seen now. I can go talk to him or her and get them to come and see the patient right away.
When Dr. Moore was starting to take a look at the opiate epidemic, at patients' perception of their pain was not changing despite how much high-dose opiates they might be on.
We quadrupled the amount of opiates that were sold to doctors and hospitals and pharmacies, and we quadrupled the amount of overdose deaths during that same time frame. It's sobering, but it's also empowering when you realize you can be part of the solution too. And I think, we want to listen to what our members have to say to us, and we want to make sure that we're treating their needs.
Dr. Moore, that doctor, he got me off of a pain pill. Dr. Moore, he said, no, you don't need that. You want them, but you don't need them. So, he has really been an inspiration, I guess you will say, to start taking care of myself.
On behalf of community partners and our board of directors, we were just so pleased and proud to find out that he was awarded Doctor of the Year by the National Council for Behavioral Health.
Every person that works at Community Partners is a recipient of this award with me, because without all the hard work that they do, without the frontline work that they do, then I would not be able to work in the job that I love and take care of the patients that I care about.
The 2018 Doc of the Year is Christian Moore.
Thank you very much. I have to admit that I have massive envy for Mr. Kennedy's perfect hair on this occasion. Be heard. As a doctor, I love to be heard, and I get to be heard. I have been accused of loving to hear myself talk, and there are many people at Table 21 who can attest to that. Starting an integrated healthcare company from scratch has taught me a few things about myself. First and foremost, I have learned that I do not love working with doctors. And I am married to one who's sitting over there. We tend to think rather highly of ourselves as a species in general. I learned to listen so that the goals of our members could be heard. Goals that are often diametrically opposed to the ones that I would have chosen for them. I learned to turn off my alpha so that the voices of our peers can be heard. Peers who understand our members and their journey much better than anybody else on our care team. And I learned to honor and recognize the critical role that pharmacists play in the delivery of safe and effective healthcare in our country. By show of hands, how many of you have ever been asked, why do you do what you do? There's a lot of hands out there. Why do we work longer hours for less pay than our peers? Why do we choose to serve a population who may not even be able to acknowledge that they need our help, let alone say a simple thank you? The best answer to this question is found in what I consider to be the greatest rock and roll song of all time. And to be fair, I wrote this speech before I knew that Lady Gaga's mom was going to be in the audience. So in my opinion, the greatest rock song of all time is Under Pressure by Queen and David Bowie. Thank you. I wish I could say I wrote that song. Why do we do what we do? Because love dares you. Love dares you to care for the people on the edge of the night. And love dares you to change our way of caring about ourselves. Thank you to my wife, Jennifer, my children, Liam and Eliza, for their unconditional love and support, and for putting up with my attention deficit disorder, which can be a challenge to deal with on a daily basis. Thank you to the women and men of Community Partners Integrated Healthcare, and before that, Assurance Health and Wellness, and to the members who choose us to serve them. And finally, a massive thank you to the National Council for Behavioral Health, to Linda and the incredible team that she organized here for this tremendous honor, and for all the work that you do every day to keep our nation safe and healthy. Thank you.
Superlative careers, sensational leaders. We celebrate vision.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back Linda Rosenberg.
Good evening again. Before I talk a little bit about tonight's Visionary Leader honorees, I want to acknowledge the National Council staff. Beautiful Charday, who's here handing out our awards. And would the rest of the staff please stand? They are just amazing, particularly Jeannie Campbell. Without Jeannie's leadership and tireless efforts, this whole conference wouldn't be what it is. And so I want to especially acknowledge my partner, Jeannie Campbell. It's my honor to present the last set of awards for tonight. Visionary work can happen in so many ways. Sometimes it's monumental from the start, and you can feel the weight of what's on the horizon. Sometimes it's about taking a risk to solve a problem, not knowing the potential for far-reaching impact. However it presents, our Visionary Leader Awards celebrate 5 individuals who have made it their life's work to push the boundaries. You're going to hear from a leader who's the epitome of high-tech, high-touch. She always wants better. Better for patients, better for staff, better for her community. She sets high standards and inspires us to be the very best. You'll hear from a man who's committed to a city, an inspiration to the community, and a true collaborator. He's used the tenets of community mental health to help lead the revitalization of Detroit. We join Detroit in looking up to him. You'll hear from a man who understands both the clinical and business demands of healthcare, a leader among the leaders of the great state of Texas. He understands that all the caring in the world won't help if you don't have the resources to help. You'll hear from a man who understands that you can't fit the human experience into pre-designed models, that those we serve have experienced lifetimes often of trauma and abuse. He is a man who walks the talk of a true servant leader. And you'll hear from a leader whose belief in science is reflected in the treatment his organization delivers. A leader who at the same time understands our shared responsibilities. Responsibilities to instill hope, to educate, and always to advocate. Please warmly welcome our first visionary leader, Martha Whitecotton. Like a real Oscar. We'll also mail it to those of you who are honorees.
Thank you so much tonight to the National Council, to my precious family, my husband who's here with me tonight, the Atrium Health Behavioral Health team, and to Dr. John Sandopietro, who taught me that the system is better, but not well. Warren Bennis said, leaders must encourage their organizations to dance to forms of music not yet heard. Our team at Atrium Health is writing the music, and we are choreographing the dance to transform the delivery of care to the patients who come to us in need of services. Our healthcare system has a vision for the role that behavioral health plays in value-based care and population health. And because of that vision, we believe that we are leading the country in this transformation. Behind our vision is our teammates. They are face-to-face with our patients, and they make hope, health, and healing possible. Because of their work, patients who present to our acute care emergency departments in psychiatric crisis have seen their length of stay decrease from 45 hours to 17 hours. Because of their work, more than 25,000 patients who presented to their primary care provider for relief from their mental illness or substance use disorder received timely access to the care that they needed. And because of their work, readmissions to our psychiatric hospitals within 30 days of discharge are at an all-time low of 3.8%. Several men, all diagnosed with substance use disorder or mental illness, have become a very significant part of our family and a significant part of our church family. And through them, we get to experience how very difficult life is to navigate for those that are least able to navigate it. Thank you tonight to Howard and Jay and Frank and Shannon and Chet and Gordon and Michael and Joseph for showing us the way. Thank you.
Our next Visionary Leader Award goes to John Van Camp.
Wow. So I've always been drawn to the power of a well-articulated vision and turning it into a personal mission. Perhaps it's because my mother was one of 13 founding members of the Detroit Federation of Teachers in the 30s. And my dad was the Midwest campaign manager for Norman Thomas, who ran for the president on the Socialist Party on a platform of public works, Social Security, and conservation. I was drawn to the vision of the Peace Corps and went to India in 1964. When I went to social work school to become a community organizer, I asked for placement at a community mental health agency as I was drawn to the emphasis on community. With all the myths and stereotypes and discrimination about mental illness, it requires intervention at the community level because the community owns the resources and they open up or close down access to them based on their values. So this community organizer was drawn to Southwest 45 years ago to help the community open up their hearts, their minds, and their resources to people with mental illness. I spent much of my time building community because in the end, I believe community is an intervention. And when you have community, it's so much more powerful than any government safety net. I profoundly thank the National Council in accepting this award, which I do, and to share it with all of the other people who've gone before me and to share it tonight, and to share it with all of you in the audience who follow your dreams. And I also share this. It's one thing to have a vision, but to turn a vision into outcomes, that's what the staff and the board and the many partners we have in Detroit we benefit from. So thank you very much.
Thank you, John. The next Visionary Leader Award goes to Terry Crocker.
Quotes on Monday.
I know.
Thank you, everyone. This is an incredible honor. My list is way too long of people needing to be thanked: family, friends, colleagues, mentors, professors, many people in my life that have had a dramatic impact on the trajectory of my career. But I do want to note one. I've been CEO of Tropical Texas Behavioral Health for 15 years now. When I started, a very wise man told me, he said, "Terry, you will not be effective in this job for very long if things aren't going well at home." I'm very pleased my wife, Beth, is with me. Beth, good job. Thank you. I love you. Tropical Texas Behavioral Health has had more accomplishments than I had ever dreamed, both financially and operationally over the years, but none of them are my successes. They are the successes of every single person who works there, and we are blessed with a very talented and dedicated team of professionals. And regarding the visionary part of this award, many who have worked with me have heard me say that it's not difficult to see way off into the distance when you're standing on the shoulders of giants. To all the members of the Tropical team, both at home in South Texas and those that are here with me, thank you for what you do. This award is acknowledgement of what we have accomplished together. To the Tropical crew here with me, hurry home. We've still got a lot of work to do. And I want to end with saying to those working in our service system everywhere, doing anything and doing any job, make your voice heard. Educate those around you about the impact and costs of people not getting the mental health care they need when they're instead in emergency rooms or ERs or jails or homeless. If we don't make our voices heard, the people with mental health issues remain in the shadows, as does our entire service system and everything we've ever done. Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Our next Visionary Leader Award goes to David Woodlock.
Hey. I'm really extraordinarily personally touched by this. And I guess I want to say there's a kind of a rite of passage for anyone who who's lucky enough to stand where I'm standing tonight as a recipient of anything called a Visionary Leadership Award. You know what that is? I've sat exactly where you're sitting and heard hundreds of other leaders speak. Sometimes I've literally been transfixed by their words. Other times, if I'm honest, I've been checking the latest sports scores or a New York Times article. In truth, all leaders compete for the attention of their audiences, not just in an awards gala, but in a boardroom, a leadership huddle, in every why and how of an organization that helps people to get better. In my work of over, I hate to say it, 4 decades, at the Krauss Irving Emergency Room, at the Catholic Charities Group Homes, Hutchings Psychiatric Center in Syracuse, New York State Office of Mental Health, Four Winds Hospital, and now at an extraordinary agency, the Institute for Community Living, I've really learned a great deal. And so what would I want to share standing here tonight with you about what I think good leaders do? Be inquisitive. Never stop wondering what people want and need, what works, and why it works. Be daring. Without smart risk-taking, people will continue to suffer and won't really live the rich life that they're entitled to. Be present. Even if you have 10 things due in the next 10 minutes, if a consumer or a colleague walks in your office, give them your full attention. And lastly, be grateful. Working in behavioral health is a privilege. And I am incredibly grateful to Debbie and to Christian and the many others with lived experience who have taught me what I share today with you. I'm incredibly grateful to Linda and the National Council for their tireless work, support, and nurturing of our field. But none of us own visionary leadership. We pass it on. And tonight, my hope is that a smart, yet perhaps scared next generation leader hears these words and commits with unrelenting passion to do incredible things. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Our final Visionary Leader Award goes to Howard Hitzel.
Well, it's been great being here tonight and hearing about all the wonderful people and organizations that are doing great things for our behavioral health community. It's really a privilege. I'm deeply honored by this recognition by the National Council. As many of you know, I believe successful leaders depend on the knowledge, skills, and passion of their staff. A number of those people are here tonight, and I want to thank them at tables 24 and 33 for their commitment to providing evidence-based excellence across all of Best Self's services. I'm proud to say that Best Self currently offers more than 20 different evidence-based interventions for children, adolescents, and adults. We're one of 13 certified community behavioral health clinics in New York State and have more than 7,000 people enrolled in our CCBHCs. Every day we see how people benefit from this comprehensive model of treatment and recovery. We also offer a number of innovative evidence-based services, including our primary and behavioral health care integration program, a fully mobile opioid treatment program, and On Track, our early intervention program for young people experiencing their first episode of schizophrenia. These are just a few examples of the progressive, creative work we're doing at Best Self. We are designing and implementing services that better meet the needs of our consumers, and we are collecting service data and tracking outcomes to demonstrate the effectiveness of our work, to show that we are making measurable differences in people's lives. As you all know, behavioral health problems affect everyone. As advocates, we need to make our voices heard in this increasingly complex and often difficult to navigate healthcare environment. It's really our job to instill hope, combat stigma, educate people, and engage families and individuals. Improving behavioral health outcomes is really a shared responsibility and must be a collaborative community effort. I once again want to thank the wonderful team we have at Best Self. This award really goes to them. They're the folks that are really visionary and are doing wonderful work for our community. This all is due to them. I also want to thank the New York State Office of Mental Health and the New York State Office of Alcohol and Substance Abuse Services, who really have given us a number of fabulous opportunities to do creative work in our community. And finally, I want to thank my wife, Yvonne, and my family, who have been so supportive and understanding of everything I've done. Thanks very much to the National Council. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Howard. Please join me in one more round of applause for all our honorees tonight. And now, the last thanks of the evening goes to all of you for sharing tonight with us. Thank you and good night.